Supreme Magus, Chapter 59. Alone in the Crowd. Lit returned to the classroom with another warp step, so the first period ended to be delayed by only 20 minutes. Professor Trask winked at him with a kind smile, sending him back to his desk before starting the lesson. The three girls had been forced to stand up alongside the chalkboard the whole time. "There's no reason for you to get comfortable, since you are going to leave us soon." Trask had a cold smile the whole time. He seemed to be taking great joy from their misfortune. As soon as Lit returned, the three girls were called into the headmaster's office. Only then the warp steps closed and the lesson began. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Gian Trask, and I was born a commoner. He took a long pause, getting those words echoed through the class, taking a mental note of whoever made a disgusted or disapproving face for future reference. Back in my days, I got rejected by the Fire Griffin Academy. I was forced to join the association as a homeschooled, and then worked my way up as an adventurer until I managed to get my specializations. My talent had been acknowledged to the point that I was offered a position as a professor in this academy, and the Fire Griffin headmaster got fired for being an incompetent old fool. If any of you share his vision, feel free to join him. Trask pointed at the door. No one? Well, let's start with the good stuff. Theory of combat magic. You'll be asking yourself, what the heck does it even mean? You are all proficient in the first 3 tiers of magic. What could I possibly teach you? The answer is how to keep you alive by revealing the true value of the so neglected chore magic. I know, the name is horrible, but since the dawn of academies, chore magic has helped examiners to separate the wheat from the chaff. Have you ever asked yourself why is that the first thing they require you to perform? Because here, inside one of the greatest academies, from now on you'll learn how to love and respect it with its true name, the first magic. First magic is the reason why a mage can live long enough to have children. Sure, it's weak, but do you really believe you'd have the time for even a tier 1 spell if someone tries to stab you? The answer is no, you wouldn't. Without first magic, you will die, wasting all the time, effort, and money that your parents and the academy have invested in your formation. The lesson proceeded with Trask making examples of different life in that situation and how to survive by using simple tricks of first magic. Most of the class furiously taking notes. Only Lit and a few others of the over 200 attendees would look around surprised by the ignorance of their peers. Can you believe it, Solus? Those noobs are taking notes with a frigging pen. Now I understand why this course is mandatory for all. I doubt many others have spent hunting and refining their skills. First magic, Solus pondered. For a second I expected him to call it true magic. Most of the tricks he is explaining, you invented them back in the crib. If all his lessons are like this one, it will be quite boring. After 2 hours, the lesson came to an end. And that is it for the explanations. This part is covered, albeit less charmingly, in the first 20 pages of your book. For the next lesson, I expect you to know them inside out, together with pages from 20 to 50. The best way to learn the theory behind the fight is experiencing firsthand, so we won't meet again in a classroom, but only in a training room. From the fourth year onwards, you are required to get your hands dirty. You will study in your free time if you need to. The same standards for all classes. The first lesson is explanatory, then comes only practice. Those who don't keep up will fail and be expelled. Remember that there are no second chances. Always give your best. All the students had worried expression. One thing was reading and memorizing from a book, having an exam every 3 months. Another was being constantly tested day after day, pushing you to your limit. Since the next lesson was also a mandatory course for all, the class wouldn't change. There would just be a short break before the next professor arrived. Lee took immediately out the ballot just to stay on the safe side. As Linjos had predicted, Lee's desk was avoided like the plague. All the students threw him looks filled with contempt and disgust, even the commoners from the last rows. Well, at least they all agree on something, he thought. Lee stood up and stretched his legs a little bit, and he noticed that whenever he would go, people would make way for him, keeping themselves at least 2 meters away. That's actually pretty sweet. I wish I had a ballot whenever the metro was too crowded or every time I got stuck in a line. He travels best who travels alone. Lee checked up his schedule. Professor Nalier was in charge of Principles of Advanced Magic. Another cryptic title. It's too bad they have yet to give us our books, or I would already have stored them inside Soluspedia. I don't have the time to read it the old-fashioned way. Damn if I hate riddles. When Professor Nalier entered the room, Lee's heart skipped a beat. She was in her mid-20s, around 1 meter 70 centimeters high. Her face had an oval shape with delicate features. Her honey blonde hair with shades of purple were pulled back in a ponytail. She wore almost no makeup, accentuating her natural beauty. Despite her robe being completely buttoned up, it was not baggy enough for Lee's highly trained male eyes to be incapable of measuring her 3 sizes. With every stride she took, he was able to appreciate her soft curves more and more. Wow, she is stunning, Solus commented. After the swimsuit model Professor Trask, I'd say that Linjos has quite a taste in picking the new staff. Right, Lit? Lit? Solus was worried. Her host's head was empty. She could only hear some kind of white noise. Lit, are you alive or what? She mentally screamed, making him regain his rationality. Solus, I'm in trouble. The woman that just walked in is a 10 out of 10. On my personal scale, I never believed the real 10 could actually exist in real life. And even worse, this stupid body has just decided to experience its first crash. Solus was flabbergasted. Are you crazy? Right here and now, with all that is at stake? You want to become the teacher's pet? Do you think I have any choice? I know that a 12-year boy has less chances with her than a snowball on the sun. The problem is that my body doesn't give a damn. It was only a matter of time before hormones would screw up my teenage life. I need your help to keep my cool and avoid acting like an idiot. It's a lost cause, but at least we can do damage control. Please, I want to avoid shameful memories like those from high school. I'll do my best, Solus assured him, soothing his chaotic thoughts and draining the excess mental energy. Good morning, boys and girls. My name is Valesa Nalear. Nice to meet you all. Her voice was nothing special, but to Lid's ears was a choir of harps and violins. While looking around, she noticed that some spots in the classroom were packed, yet there were still lots of available seats around Lid. When she asked for an explanation, Lid raised the ballot in his right hand. Her upper lip curled up in an expression of disgust. Despicable. Her words sounded like she was trying to spit something disgusting out of her mouth. The whole class erupted with mockery and laughter. Strong of the teacher's support, many students threw some trash at Lid despite the ballot. Lid felt his heart sank. All the warmth he had felt until a second ago, the silly hopes and dreams of friendship bordering love that he had nurtured, burst like a bubble. Only cold and darkness remained inside him, making even that pain feel good. That's right, he thought. Do you see now, stupid pubescent body? That's what happens when you lower your guard. Wishful thinking bears only sour fruits made of tears and disappointment. The silver lining is that I managed to put an end to this mad crush fast, sparing me countless humiliations. I must remember it, and remember it well. Rule number 1, trust no one. Always expect the worst out of everybody, and you'll never be disappointed. The class was still laughing when Professor Nalear roared, "Silence!" When the shower of garbage ceased and order returned to the classroom, she spoke with a voice full of rage, her green eyes reduced to 2 fiery slits. "I wasn't talking about him, but about you, filthy maggots." Or not, Lee thought, surprised by the sudden turn of events. She looked at the various groups of people all over the class, glaring at them with fury, while a blue aura emerged from her body, making her robe move alike like she was a mist of a storm. Her hands moved too quick for the eyes to see. Even Lid's heightened senses could only perceive a blur. Suddenly, one of the guys that had thrown trash at Lid was suddenly pulled towards Nalear. He was floating in midair, desperately holding his neck, gasping for air. "Isn't that spirit magic?" Lid thought, shocked. "It closely resembles my spirit choke. I can barely spot any difference. Could she be a true mage too?" "You bastards," she roared. "Do you have any idea what likes of you pulled me through during my academy years? Only because I was a pretty girl and my father was just a lonely knight, you guys always try to turn me into your plaything, harassing and molesting me every single day. But the worst always come from my so-called girlfriends." Her hands moved again, pulling another of those who had thrown trash, but this time it was 15-year-old girl wearing a heavy makeup. "Always calling me a slut at my back, spreading rumors and trying to lure me into traps to give their male friends the opportunity to have some fun. And that only because I was more talented than them. So they needed to put me in my place. The only reason I am still alive and sane up to this day is because I took a guilty ballot." The 2 youths in midair had started to turn purple, their eyes shedding tears of fear and desperation. "What's the matter?" she mocked them. "Aren't we just having fun among friends, according to your rules?" Might makes right. Not only I am a professor at this academy, I am also an archmage, which puts me at the level of an archduke. She looked straight in the boy's eyes, grabbing his throat and lifting him up with only one hand. That makes your father's Marquis title a joke. I could kill you right here and now, and then claim you tried to rape me. Not only no one would dare to doubt my word, I could even ask for satisfaction personally wiping out your filthy family. She then did the same to the girl, her feet dangling in air in search of support. And what about you, ugly? Why are you not laughing anymore? Why don't you go cry to your mommy, Duchess Baran? I want to see her face when I will rip your heart out in front of her eyes and make her eat raw, as an apology for being weaker than me. Only when their faces turned blue for lack of air, she let them go, throwing them away like trash. Professor Nalear immediately conjured water, washing her hands like touching those two could stain her very being. By my maker, Solus was blown away. Now I finally understand. Headmaster Linjos didn't choose his staff based on physical appearance. He replaced the old professor with talented people that have been victims of the system in the past. This way, not only he is sure to have at his service someone that can truly empathize with the victims, but also people that will never back down in front of abuse of power. They were all hell-bent on revenge. If they cannot change the system from inside, no one can. Despite their symbiotic link, Lit wasn't able to hear a single thought Solus had sent him. He watched the events happening in front of him in a daze, his mind blank, incapable of accepting reality. "Please, marry me," he suddenly blurted out loud.